everybody, it's me Enza. Today I really wanted to talk about something that's been heavy on my heart. It's about sensitivity and the beauty and the pain of sensitivity. I probably will cry and I probably will scream and whatever. I don't even care because I think that this is something that needs to be addressed. I'm one of the most sensitive people that I know, and increasingly as I've gotten older, it's just been getting harder and harder to stay true to my sensitivity because of how fucked up the world is getting. So let's talk about it. Ever since I was young, I hated my sensitivity. I hated how sensitive I was. I hated how much one little thing could hurt me. I hated how deeply I felt, and I constantly would wish away the ability to feel deep. I didn't want to feel it. Every single thing that would come up in my life would come in a wave. And it wasn't like, okay, something hurt me, listen to it, get over it. No, every fucking thing that happens to me, it's just like, it kills me, it destroys me, it consumes my entire being. So for so long, looking at my sensitivity was like looking at an evil that lived inside of me. Even though it was like the most beautiful thing that lived inside of me, I always looked at it with such a negative viewpoint because it was something that was so painful to me that nobody around me ever understood. And then the only way that I found that I could stop my sensitivity was by numbing myself. And I've talked about it before. My drug addiction and my impulsivity and my abusive behaviors towards myself, and those were the only ways that I found that I was able to numb my sensitivity and numb how much things hurt me. And I developed this like toxic mindset, like nothing hurts me, nothing hurts me, I'm never going to be sensitive again. And I started to shut down that vulnerable place of myself. And when I shut that bitch down, guess what happened? I became the worst fucking person to be around. And you want to know why? It's because I was completely far removed from myself. It was what made me who I was. It was what made me loving, caring, thoughtful, able to see people for who they really are, able to see when people were genuinely hurting. It was like my sensitivity, shutting it down, made me become selfish. And I think that that's something that we really start to see in this world, is that this world is afraid of vulnerability and they are afraid of sensitivity because this world sees sensitivity as weakness. This world has never once, even when they try to promote things as like, we see your weakness, accept your flaws, it's like billions of bitches in this world that decide to not follow that. Vulnerability is so hard to have in this world. This world is a very cruel world. There is a lot of hatred. There is a lot of anger. There is a lot of contempt. This world is not built for sensitive people. What ends up happening is that sensitive people slip through the cracks. And once you start slipping through the cracks, we get lost. Nobody can find us. Nobody can reach us. Nobody is able to get through to us because we have started to harden. And when sensitivity starts to become viewed as weakness, and we don't want to be weak, we want to be seen as strong. So we start to bury and bury and bury every single part of ourselves that is so full of love, because it is not accepted in a world that is too afraid to be vulnerable, that is in a world that's too afraid to be sensitive. People just are not accustomed to kindness. Like, in this world, kindness takes effort, which is so fucking crazy, and hatred takes nothing. Hatred is like, any single fucking person can find anything to hate about anybody. And we see that even like on social media, like canceling people finding the smallest thing to hate on. It's so easy to be mean nowadays, and to find kindness is something that takes like a lot of people digging within themselves to find that, which there shouldn't even be a question as to how can I be more kind to people. It should just come naturally. But this world has hardened us and made us believe that our sensitivity is the one thing that will destroy us in this world, that the world has become such a dark, fucking unforgiving place. And I don't even care if I'm being aggressive about it, because it is just so easy to see in our day-to-day lives how hard the world has become. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but like when people are uncomfortable with anything that has to do with feelings and emotions, is what is their number one thing? Their number one thing is, anytime anyone's afraid of anything, their first thought is to find control. And what ends up happening is that that translates into sensitivity. It translates into other things. So when you're afraid of something at work and you're trying to find control, well, now you're afraid of the way that people are reacting, and you're trying to find control. And a lot of times people become gaslighters and manipulators because they're trying to find ways to control things that are meant to be felt. And instead of trying to make themselves feel it, they're trying to suppress it to a point that they don't want to identify with. Start to tell the people around you that they're too crazy. You guys need to calm down. You're making that too big of a situation. They try to de-escalate the situation, when in reality, the best way to fucking experience this type of life is to actually be vulnerable and open with our feelings. I spend almost every single day crying because of how hurt I am to live in a world that just does not understand how to love. And then we lose sight of love. And to love somebody or to love something, the uncomfortable is the place where love is needed the most. Not just surface level love, not just loving somebody because they're this way, or loving somebody because you can shape them into what you want them to be, and being there for them in their version of what is uncomfortable to them, even if it's something that's not uncomfortable to you. Like, there's so many times where people are just like, oh, well, that doesn't bother me, so why is it bothering them? Well, bitch, other people have minds. How about that? Conversations can be uncomfortable, feelings can be uncomfortable, but shutting them down? Okay. And then we all start to think, why is the world so lonely? Why are so many people suffering? No wonder the world is so lonely. Every single person in this world is accustomed to hiding everything that they want, everything that they need. People tell them, well, you just have to do this because that's the way it is. You just have to go to this job because that's the way it is. You just have to hang around these people because that's what's available right now. And to literally condition people into thinking that they cannot live their authentic selves, only to live those types of authentic selves at home for a few hours every single night. To condition people to thinking that that's normal is one of the most cruel things that I think that this world has thrust upon them. And we're all accustomed to hiding things, but guess what? We're all fucking experiencing the same thing. No wonder the world is so fucking lonely. Nobody is talking about it. Nobody is feeling it. Nobody is sharing their true feelings. People are like texting friends and being like, hey, but behind their back they're talking shit about them. Or talking to another guy or to a girl, and it's like, oh, but I really don't know how they feel right now, and they're playing games with each other. Can I just say, like, the fucking rate of fuckboys that has gone up in this world is insane. Like, the way that sensitivity has become demonized is crazy, and the way that hiding yourself and hiding your identity and literally putting on a mask has become the norm is insane to me. Because to live your life through a mask is terrifying. I've been masked for my entire life. I've only now started to really accept my sensitivity and really love the person that I chose to be. And my therapist actually made an amazing point to me. And he says, you are a circle in a room full of squares, and there's no chance of you fitting in. And when my therapist said that to me, at first I was like really fucking upset. I was like, bitch. But then I was like, wait, he has a point. If I'm going to choose to be this authentic version of myself, there's going to be things around me and people around me that are not going to fit into what I want for my life. And instead of just, instead of putting myself into that box and trying to form myself into a square to fit in, I'm going to continue to be that true authentic self. And you know what happens is that a lot of the times those other squares end up coming and morphing into my circle, because they realize, hey, you know what, I actually do want to be authentic. I really do want to stay true to myself. And I feel like a lot of the times that isolation is literally every single friggin' person is experiencing the exact same isolation, but we're all so afraid to admit it. And I always think back to the fact that I've learned for so many of my years being alive to hate myself. I've learned how to hate myself so good that if any good compliment comes my way, it just goes in one ear and right out the other ear. This world is created on insecurity, and this world is creates insecurity on the things that we should be loving the most about ourselves. And so when I was thinking about that, I was like, I've learned to hate myself. I can listen to anything that anybody says. They can say any good thing to me, and those words don't register in my brain. But they can say one mean thing to me, and that thing is the one confirmation that I need for myself to be like, yeah, I am a shitty person. Yeah, see, there is no reason for people to love me. There's no reason to love myself, because it's been confirmed with that. But people can be complimenting me over and over and over again, and it's nothing to me, because we get taught and conditioned that our beautiful selves, the ones that are sensitive, the ones that care about people, are the type that are going to get walked all over. When in reality, who gives a fuck if they walk all over you? Who cares? Because when you have that beautiful confidence and that highest sense of self within you, who gives a fuck who walks all over you? Because it won't even matter. Because at that point, you're so confident within yourself that you just will go like this, and you realize that footprint is gone, bitch. That shit is gone. Hold on to so much of the parts of me that make myself feel terrible, and for one fucking compliment, I can't even absorb it as part of me, because I've made my identity this person that is unlovable. Anytime that I show any bit of vulnerability, any bit of sensitivity, that is going to be my downfall. When in reality, if we were all vulnerable, how beautiful of a world would that be? Where we can actually talk about things, where we don't have to attack each other all the time. I also realize, like, I find love through pain. You know, like, I find love through the validation of a painful situation rather than somebody genuinely complimenting me. Like, that just goes over my shoulder. Like, okay, thank you. Maybe I'll take that as a compliment. I'll feel good for 2 seconds. But when somebody fights with me and somebody tells me that I'm too sensitive, I'm too much for the world, I'm too vocal about how I feel, I need to toughen up, I need to get my shit together. When I hear that kind of stuff, I feel love through that. And that's not how you should be feeling love. And there's so many people in this world that feel love through that. When someone fights with me and they push me down and they make me feel like absolutely nothing, and then I identify with that, and then I feel this feeling in me, like, I feel love from that when they say I'm sorry. How disgusting! Whoa! Like, that's actually how I feel. Like, that's gross. We give ourselves so many chances to love ourselves, so many chances to, like, practice self-care, to step away from situations that are toxic to us, to step away from people that are toxic to us. But we always go for that familiarity, that like mask that we put on is gonna be our protection, and deep down we'll know that we're still safe. But it's like, no, I want to be able to be my full authentic self, and everything else just like fucking leaves, because I don't want that shit in my life, and I want to fucking live a happy life. I want to live a life where I am excited to see people. I don't want to have to take drugs to be comfortable in situations. Like, I've numbed myself so much for years with drugs and taking drugs just to hang out with people, because I was like, they'll never understand me. At least I can blend in. Let me make a few jokes here and there that will get me liked by them. But I don't want to feel that shit anymore. I want to feel happy. I want to feel content. I want to like attract the people that make me feel happy and that I don't have to put a mask on for. The world likes to preach that they're accepting of individuality, but one person comes that doesn't fit that or tries to change the course of it, and it's like, maybe not that much. And you're just like, there is never a win in this world. And I think once you accept that there's never going to be a win in this world, there's never going to be a perfect in this world, is when you finally start to realize that who I am should not bother fucking anybody except for me, okay? Unless you're a shitty person, then go fuck yourself. Go to therapy. I hold so much to parts of myself that make me feel like a terrible person. And it's like a water. Like I'm watering a plant, and every time it starts to grow or sprout a new leaf of knowledge or whatever, I just like fucking put that shit in the dirt. Like, who am I? My life started getting to a point where I was justifying everything that everybody was saying. I was too sensitive, too much, and allowing people to form my own identity. An identity that I already knew that I had. Turn of events, I started crying. Oh my god. I'm just like, I'm always so, I always feel things so deeply, and it just scares me that, like Like sometimes, like, I know this is dramatic, but like sometimes I feel like, what if I die of like a broken heart at such a young age because of how deeply things affect me? It's like it gets to a point that's just so painful. And I've talked about it before, like for so long I've numbed myself using drugs and everything, and it should like numb my sensitivity, but like as I'm getting older, like I'm realizing how beautiful it is, how beautiful, how sensitive I am is, and like I don't want to numb it anymore. I want to feel everything so extremely all the time. I love it. It's like the most beautiful part about me. Like I have such a hard time with self-esteem issues and loving myself and being able to see the good in myself, and even being able to see the good in people, because of I have terrible trust issues. And it's like to finally be able to like look at the one part of me that I hated so much, and to finally say like I love that part of me, and it's the most beautiful part about me. Like it just, I don't know. I'm sorry. Like my sensitivity helps me realize love in other people, and it helps me realize love within myself, and it helps me realize that I don't always have to put on a mask or put on a barrier when I'm talking to other people. And if I do feel the need to put on a mask, like try to talk myself down, but if it's too bad, then maybe it's not like the right people for me. Like it's really helping me to navigate life, and my sensitivity is like one of the most beautiful things about me, and it makes me like care, and makes me think about people when I go out. If I see something, I'm like, I'm gonna buy that, and because I know that they've been talking about it, and or maybe they're having a hard day, and like I'm gonna put together a self-care basket for them, and just things like that. Like it really, like I don't know. I just love to love, and I love to care about people, and sometimes when I mute my sensitivity, it mutes my heart, and I can become cruel, and I can become very rude, and I can become very hardened to the world around me. Like I'm beautiful for how I feel. I'm beautiful for how much I care and how much I like show people that. And even if that makes me feel lonely, and even if there's people that haven't reached that part, like I know that there's gonna be people that are gonna at one day realize how beautiful their sensitivity is. And I don't know, I just really hope, like, because I'm going into social work, I just really hope that I can help kids realize things before it gets like to a point that gets really bad, because it's scary to feel so alone in a world that is like so hardened up. It's like very anxiety inducing. Like numbing myself with drugs just made things worse, because like I was at a party and just realizing like I don't fit in, and I hate that feeling of just like I feel so lonely right now in this room full of a million fucking different people, and it's just like, why do I feel so fucking lonely? I justified all the times people told me I was too sensitive, I was too much, and I adopted that as part of my personality, and I couldn't see how beautiful I was. I couldn't see that the person that I was beautiful. I just saw it as weak. I was afraid of my vulnerability for the longest time, and I was afraid who I would become once I separated from it. Like for me, hatred for myself felt like it could always last forever. Self-loathing felt like it could last forever. But love was like fleeting moments for me. It was nothing. And I'm slowly starting to regain that vulnerability back, and that love for myself back, and that love for others back, because for so long I've approached the world with such hatred, and like everybody was against me. But the truth is, like, we're all suffering this epidemic of not being able to be ourselves, not being able to be vulnerable with ourselves, and not being able to bring our sensitivity to light without being judged and ridiculed and seen as weak, and becoming people's second choices because it's like people are too uncomfortable with the uncomfortable. But the truth is like there's so much love to be found in types of people like that. There's so much love to be found in the sensitive types, and there's so much nurturing that needs to go into it, and it's not going to come from outside, because people don't know how to nurture themselves. People know how to mask, and people know how to keep going, but that nurturing has to start from inside, and it's something that's like takes so fucking long to learn. It causes me so much pain to think about all the parts of myself and all the situations that I got myself into, how they could have been avoided if I just learned to love myself, or learned to listen to the parts of myself that knew what was best for me, but I just thought like they're not normal, so I have to follow what everyone else is doing. the sensitivity that can come from one person can literally change somebody's day. You know what I mean? Like, go out, be nice to the people that are working at restaurants, be nice to the people around you. Even if there's somebody in a friend group you don't really like, still be nice to them, because it's just about knowing where to protect yourself and how to still make other people not feel alone. And that's so important, is because sometimes we either go too full force into protecting ourselves and protecting our peace and we become fucking assholes, or we become too like we become too like accept everything in all the time and like find pain in everything. It's about that like medium balance kind of in the middle, which is very hard for people that have complex PTSD or bipolar disorder. Like, as somebody who has complex PTSD, middle ground does not fucking exist. Everything is black and white for me, like, and it's so hard to find that middle ground for outside situations, but I always have to try to find that middle ground for myself, or else I'm gonna go crazy. So even if something still doesn't make sense to me on the outside perspective of things, I need to find that space within myself that's gonna keep me to being that loving person that I always want to be, and that I always want to project and show people. To not allow yourself to find acceptance in situations that make you hate who you are or who you are becoming. Like, don't find acceptance in that. Taking drugs just to hang out with people, don't find acceptance in that. It's like, okay, I need to find people that I don't feel this way around. It's always about like trial and error and not getting stuck in places of your life that make you find moments of joy. That like, your life has to be filled with joy that can help you through those moments of uncomfortable, not constant discomfort that make you just yearn for moments of joy, seconds of joy. It's like we learn to give our hearts away and everything away to people that don't deserve it. We learn that this life is meant to just live it and get through it and work our 9 to 5 and do this, but the reality of the situation is that we need to find that happiness within ourselves. What makes us happy? What is going to keep the relationships in our lives alive? You know, what is going to make everybody always that surrounds us feel loved without giving all of ourselves away? To love and to care so deeply about people, to truly see people, is the most beautiful thing that you can do. Even when people try to convince you otherwise, or don't get too involved, don't get it. Or, oh, I hate when people say, don't get too involved in the situation, let her find out on her own. Oh, shut the fuck up. Do you know how much happier and how much more beautiful this world could be if we were all just honest with each other? Like, there's so many situations that have happened where people are just not honest with each other, and I straight up go tell the other person. You want that person to live their lives in a lie because you're too scared of confrontation? Fuck off. I'm gonna go tell them because they deserve to hear this. They deserve to hear these things. You might think like you're too much or something because of that. No! The world is just not ready for somebody like you. And I think that that's crazy to think that you are too much for somebody. How? The world is just not ready for, or the people around you are just not ready for someone like you. Go find the people that are your people. You don't have to do things that you don't want to do just because everybody else is doing it. Just because that's the way the world works. No, it's not. You have to surround yourself with people and the places that don't make you feel like you have to be someone other than you. You have to surround yourself with people and places that make you feel alive, that make you feel understood. Have the space to hold your vulnerability as well. And don't allow yourself to find acceptance in situations that make you feel comfortable with hating who you are. Find situations, change. Like, change is so fucking uncomfortable. I'm so uncomfortable to change. I'm so uncomfortable to let go of my pain. I'm so uncomfortable to become vulnerable because I'm like, what is gonna come of it? But I won't know unless I try. I'm not gonna know unless I fucking try. Like, I'm so tired of just feeling like I'm too much for people. I'm so tired of feeling like I have to walk on eggshells around my own self. Not around other people. I'm always walking around eggshells around other people. But to walk around eggshells around my own self, like, that is just a fucking something that really hit me hard. Back to what I was saying about my therapist, where he said, you're a circle in a room full of squares. Guess what? You can see that as you're protecting other people from you. And you can also see that as you're protecting yourself from other people, but you do not want to be in a situation where you feel like you have to dim yourself down to feel loved. You have to become a version of yourself that is not authentic to feel loved, to feel accepted, to feel like you have to numb yourself to become something that is tolerable. And that's just like one of my biggest things that I want anyone that watches this video to take away from is be sensitive. Be the craziest fucking sensitive person that you can ever think of. Be observant of people. Show your love through your love languages. Don't be afraid to love people. Don't be afraid to show people how beautiful vulnerability can be. Be open to uncomfortable conversations. Be open to uncomfortable situations with other people. Like, don't dim your light just to make other people's lights brighter. There's so many fucking cliche shits that I could say, but the reality is be you. Be you 1,000,000%, and I swear to God, doesn't matter how many people you start to lose from the life around you, you're going to start attracting the right people because you're putting out that vibe. You're putting out that right vibe, and you're going to start attracting people that are just as loving as you, that show their love just as much as you do, that show how much they appreciate you just as much as you do. And then over time, them showing you that and them telling you over and over again all the beautiful things about you starts to open up that fucking like lock that you put on your heart, and it's like, yeah, I actually can love myself for this, and I won't stand for that, and I won't take that shit, and I will become this person, and I will be vulnerable all the time, and I'll be so full of love that nothing in me will ever hurt me the same way that it did before, because I'm tired of hating my sensitivity. And I really hope that whoever watches this video can take at least one thing away from this video and realize, like, it is not okay to hate yourself on a daily basis and dim yourself just to feel loved. So, anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to film this so many times, and I feel like this is the best approach to it. It's just like being direct. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. See you in the next video. And love you. Bye.